some good attendance here. We'll go ahead and get started. Let's see, get everything over here. Hello again. This is Kevin Gilmore with the National Weather Service New Orleans Baton Rouge office located in Slaughter, Louisiana. We're going to go ahead and get started with the latest tropical weather update with Tropical Storm Francine. We do have a lot to talk about here. There's been a few changes that we've seen throughout the day, and we're going to kind of talk about some of those specific impacts here in just one quick moment. So if you haven't been joining these Facebook Lives, we usually do these a little bit more routine as we get more of these tropical systems that create more of an impact to the local area. And as you can see, we're now getting to about less than 24 hours before we start to see some of the impacts across Southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi from the tropical system. So let's go ahead and get started. And as I always do, we like to kind of take a look at what's going on here locally. I don't have radar up, but I will tell you, we do have some showers across the area, and some heavier showers are increasing from the south. And we'll go ahead and pretty much continue to see that through the rest of the night. So showers will be continuing to increase. So rain is a guaranteed chance through the rest of going into tonight and definitely into the day tomorrow. So kind of a dreary, cloudy day out there, but we'll go ahead and see if we can skip here to the latest satellite imagery and kind of talk about what we're seeing here with Tropical Storm Francine. We got the Gulf of Mexico here in the center. I always like to kind of explain this, just to kind of talk about what you're seeing here. This is visible satellite imagery from a geostationary satellite looking at the Gulf of Mexico. So the Gulf of Mexico is here in the center. So I got a cool drawing tool this time. Let's see if this works. So there you can see that is Tropical Storm Francine. It's got a pretty good circulation to it. And Louisiana is just about right here. So I'm kind of highlighting where Louisiana is, and there's southern Mississippi. So just to kind of get your geography a little bit there and proximity to where Francine is. So we're talking about, it's a little bit down to the southwest of our local area. And we still have a lot to monitor here. There could be some changes as the system continues up towards the eventual northeast, towards our general vicinity. So, but it's been kind of it's undergoing a couple of interesting things right now that we've been kind of seeing today that's kind of kept the intensity kind of flatline for a while. We're going to switch over to infrared imagery here to show that this is kind of showing you the deeper, we call it deeper convection or cloud top temperatures. That's representative of heavy rain and thunderstorm activity, which is usually at the center of the storm. And we could see, it's pretty obvious that we do keep seeing a couple of blowups near the center, which can sometimes lead to some types of intensification. However, there's a lot of dry air coming in towards Mexico and southern Texas that's going to try and wrap into it. Also, the fact that there's a little bit of some wind shear too. We've been noticing that too. That's something we've noticed for a while now with the models, is that there's wind shear, which it's not conducive for rapid development for a system that actually harms the intensification of a system as it continues up towards the general northeast track like this. Some of this wind shear is going to be really kicking in and kind of may harm it from intensifying much further. However, the intensification is expected, which we'll show you with the track here in just one quick moment. However, that may kind of slow the intensification. What does that mean for us? It means we're still going to get a lot of rain and wind from this system, and there's definitely going to be some hazards regardless. The system's not going away. It's not going to halt and turn around or anything like that. So it is going to be heading towards our general vicinity here, definitely during the day tomorrow and as we go into early Thursday. So just want to kind of show you a little bit of an overview there. We're going to continue to closely monitor the system all throughout the night and of course through the next day or two. And we'll be able to kind of pass along those updates as we see them. So let's go ahead and switch back here and show you the slideshow with some of the latest information here. First, boy, you probably have seen this one before. Do you know where you live on a map? This is extremely important because I know there's going to be some people in chat who are going to be like, what about Baton Rouge? What about Livingston? What about Slidell? Well, we don't have the time to sit here and talk about every single location. We will be here all night talking about specific forecasts for each area. So know where you are on a map. Know your parish, know your city. Know if you know your city but you don't know your parish, you need to find it out because I'm going to be showing you maps that show you this general area a lot coming up. And this is the area which our National Weather Service covers. The National Weather Service covers Southeast Louisiana. Our office here in Slidell covers Southeast Louisiana and Southern Mississippi, 22 parishes in Southeast Louisiana and 8 counties in Southern Mississippi. So be aware of that. Know which location where you are on a map, and for other surrounding National Weather Service offices across our general area, all across the Gulf Coast, from Brownsville, Texas, all the way through Tallahassee, Florida. If you're watching us in an area which we do not cover, feel free to follow your local weather service for the information and potential hazards from the system pertaining to your local area. I'll leave this up a little bit longer so you can see them. We got their Facebook and their Twitter handles there. Everything you can do to follow them. You can follow them on their website as well. And again, they'll be able to provide you with more information. And as another thing, too, I want to mention, the system is forecast to continue up towards the northeast as we get into late tomorrow into Thursday, and could be impacting, we call them inland offices, or offices a little bit further north. Jackson, Birmingham, even possibly Memphis and getting up to Huntsville could have some impacts from the system. If you're watching us from up there, be sure to follow your local weather service for your local area. Now, our surrounding offices around our local area, you got Lake Charles to our west, Jackson to our north, Mobile to our east. Again, this is the area that we cover here locally. So let's go ahead and jump into it here with a situation overview. Francine is no longer expected to make landfall as a Category 2 hurricane. That's the big change that we have seen with this latest 4 o'clock update. However, it still can't be ruled out. That's where we're going to have to really monitor the system. There has been a slight nudge eastward in the track. We're going to talk a little bit about that hurricane watch there in that second bullet point coming up just in a quick moment. Just be aware that there's still going to be impacts here, but we'll talk about that more coming up. And regardless of the fact that Francine has moved a little bit to the east or west, there's still going to be impacts. We're not calling it all clear at all for any area with this system. So we're still expecting winds, flooding rain, coastal flooding from storm surge, even isolated tornadoes as we get during the day tomorrow and through Thursday morning. So here's the latest track from the 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time update from the National Hurricane Center. Still 65 miles per hour. Little has changed with it, but it is starting to take that northeast motion at 10 miles per hour. And it's going to continue that northeast track all the way until approaching the southern coast of Louisiana, the central southern coast of Louisiana, and cutting across southeast Louisiana until it gets up to central Mississippi on Thursday. So you see the outlines there, the hurricane warnings in effect, surrounded by tropical storm warnings, and we have storm surge warnings as well. So here's that exactly what I was just talking about with the hurricane warning, hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings, all surrounding our area. Again, remember that map I showed you before? Know your parish, know your county, so you know by looking at that color which one you're under. Now, we highlighted that hurricane watch. That's on top of the tropical storm warning, and that does include areas surrounding Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain and portions of the South Shore as well, including the greater New Orleans area. You are under a hurricane watch. Now, should there be any adjustment in the track further east, there's a chance that we could see those hurricane force winds get into the city. But for now, we're calling it a watch because even though we think the gust could be possible, still, we're a little bit more uncertain there. We're not really confident. We're more confident where we have the hurricane warning currently in effect. That does include the greater Baton Rouge to Lafayette down to Houma areas. Be advised that if that track does advance a little bit to the east more, we may have to hoist up some warnings for the city area. So again, that's a hurricane watch in effect for New Orleans. And the South Shore there, and portions of the coastal North Shore as well, and close to Baton Rouge. And you see it also gets into Baton Rouge all the way over towards Lafayette. Tropical storm warnings surrounding that area, with tropical storm watches going all the way inland to southern parts of Mississippi. Now, we're going to take this one by one with the threats. First, we're going to talk about the wind threat. This is the potential impacts that we're going to be expecting. Again, find your location. And there's your color code to the left, what to expect for your local area. Generally, what we're talking about is anywhere along and west of the Pearl River should prepare for damaging winds. That's just safely said there. Just when we talk about damaging winds, we're talking about winds, what would be kind of like severe thunderstorm winds, 58 miles per hour or greater. We're talking about up to hurricane force in that orange, but we talk about those red areas. That's where we potential for hurricane force winds. That includes like Pierre Part, Houma, Thibodaux. You have the potential by seeing the sustained hurricane force winds from when the storm comes inland. And this could change and move with time. If this track wants to move and meander a little bit, be aware about that. Impacts include damage to trees, mobile homes, some roofs, and even power outages could be possible. So if you are anywhere in that orange area, and especially that red area, you need to have a plan in place in case you lose power going into, again, Wednesday into Thursday. This is the probabilities of wind speeds of 58 miles per hour, okay, just to give you a little bit of an idea. probabilities. I mean, we message probabilities a lot. We see, obviously, with that red area, it kind of follows suit with where we see those higher probabilities. So greater, more widespread impacts across the Atchafalaya Basin where there's hurricane warnings currently in effect, but those probabilities expand all the way up to Baton Rouge, getting into Livingston, even Laplace, getting down to Thibodaux. We're seeing those 30 to 40 to 50%. So you're going to have to keep an eye out for that. These are damaging winds that can cause widespread power outages. And we see that the probabilities drop off as you get further to the north as the system is continuing to weaken as it goes over land areas. However, still gusty winds, isolated power outages possible as you get further up north of the I-10-12 corridor, kind of confined to that I-55 corridor as you get up to around Macomb. Storm surge warnings are all in effect for all coastal areas across the Mississippi Sound to the Gulf Coast. This does not include the federal risk reduction system around New Orleans, okay? Be aware about that. This is storm surge warning for inundation, which we're going to show you here in just a quick moment from Tropical Storm Francine. Definitely, again, for all coastal areas across southern Mississippi, and especially that coastal areas of southeast Louisiana is where we're expected to see some inundation, and there's the values there of what we're expecting. We're talking about 3 to 5 feet. Funneling in through the Wrigley's, getting into Pontchartrain and Maurepas. We could have some inundation issues there. Also, the east-facing shorelines. Now, I guess we're a little bit further away from the east-facing shoreline, southeast Louisiana. However, when you get to the west of the mouth of the Mississippi, 4 to 7, even 5 to 10 from Port Fourchon to the west. That's going to be causing some pretty serious problems for those coastal areas down there from when Francine makes this approach later tomorrow. There's the locations at greatest risk, pretty much exactly what I just said there on the bottom right. For inundation maps, the National Hurricane Center, that is available on National Hurricane Center's website. Please check that for if you need to see any types of values that are further inland. Again, that's available on National Hurricane Center's website. The most likely time of arrival of tropical storm force winds. Be advised that with this map I'm showing you, you need to have your preparations done before this time, well before this time. What we've been trying to tell people is really kind of have your plans in place by the end, basically by tonight. We want to go ahead and make sure that everyone's hunkered down, especially in those areas that are under those hurricane warnings. Should there be impacts to your local area, you want to go ahead and get things done today. And then tomorrow, that's where conditions will be deteriorating through the day. We're talking about Wednesday morning, going through Wednesday afternoon. Conditions will be deteriorating. Rain will be increasing. It'll become heavier. It'll become breezier. And then it's going to be getting very windy in the evening into the overnight hours. Now we're going to talk about flooding impacts. We do have the potential for major flooding rain impacts for practically, I would say, easily say the entire area. Now it's hard to say specifically which areas may see worse impacts than others. That all depends on whether there's going to be heavier rain bands set up from the system, and that's just almost impossible to know this far early in. The system is, as it approaches us from the southwest, we're going to see these heavy rain bands likely oriented roughly south to north and could be trending over the same areas, producing extensive amounts of rainfall. And that's where I'm going to show you here the rainfall total forecast, widespread 4 to 8 inches. Likely could see some areas up to 12 inches of rainfall. Again, narrowing down those specifics is very hard to do right now. So I would not expect 4 to 8 is a confident forecast, but it is possible you could see higher amounts. And with saturated soils and recent flooding that we just saw not too many days ago, really could lead to some problems, especially in areas that already saw flooding. So keep that in the back of your mind. We talked about wind. Now we're talking about flooding from rainfall. Rivers will respond as well with all that rainfall. These are the current forecast flood points across southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. We already have several in minor flood. Keep in mind that this is with the current forecast and could change. This does not take into account where we could see heavier rain bands fall. And if it does, these values could be even higher. So if you live somewhere near these rivers and you sometimes see flooding from minor to moderate flood stages, please keep updated with the latest river forecast. We'll be passing along warnings, updates every time we get them. Routinely in the morning and afternoon, but if there should be any types of changes in the forecast or these bands really set up over a certain location, we'll be passing that along as frequently as we can. Tornadoes. Yes, we typically see isolated tornadoes to the east of the center of the track, and with the current forecast impacting the Atchafalaya Basin, we're going to have to watch that eastward quadrant of the storm. Something to keep in mind, tornadoes, again, they're really quick hitting. They're weak and they happen fast, but make sure you have a reliable way to receive warnings should they be required. That'll wake you up because we may have these going in through Wednesday night into early Thursday. These will be storms along these bands that will be possibly coming on shores, water spouts across coastal areas, and they could be even further inland. We're talking about near Livingston down to Houma, New Orleans, Covington. You see your city there. If you're in that orange area, that's our big concern. And there could be, if there's any adjustment with the track, that threat could move with it. However, we're still concerned primarily with coastal southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. Again, there's your key takeaways. I know there was a lot of text here, but this pretty much just sums up everything I said. Maybe some other things there I may not have mentioned earlier. Gusty winds, damaging winds are going to be increasing during the day tomorrow. Life-threatening flash flooding, especially due to the fact of saturated soils. Again, where these heavy rain bands set up is remain to be seen. We're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on it. Storm surge, that's going to be a big problem with a lot of water being piled up towards the coastal areas and possibly even get into some of the tidal lakes and sounds. So really keep an eye out for that. If you typically see impacts from storm surge, be sure to check the latest forecast. A few tornadoes, like I just mentioned too, and of course, all marine areas are going to be very hazardous with all of this. So we do already have warnings all up across our coastal areas. So be advised for that. So we'll go ahead and come back here, and now that we went through the whole overview there, this is where we typically like to say, thank you for joining and everything. But I just want to reemphasize, we're going to keep doing these. I'll probably plan on doing another one. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, pretty much, and probably like next few hours, we're going to get another update from the National Hurricane Center later this evening. Even if we're not going to get any types of updates or any types of changes, if the forecast still remains the same, we'll still do one regardless if there's any big changes or not. So we'll do one later this evening, or pretty much around tonight before everyone goes to bed, and then we'll be doing more updates as we get during the day on Wednesday. But again, we'll be seeing conditions generally deteriorating as we get during the day on Wednesday, getting worse into the afternoon, and basically just need to hunker down as we get into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, all throughout the night into Thursday morning. And we know people have been talking about too, how fast will the system get out of here? Will it be quick hitting? Will it stay around? It's not going to be staying around. It's not going to become stationary and stop. Thank goodness it's not doing that. It should be kind of quick to come through here. And then as we get into Thursday, with the dry air I was mentioning before, some of that dry air may kind of kick around that back side as the system continues up towards the northeast. And when it does, we may actually dry out pretty quick as we get towards Thursday morning. It'll still be breezy, but still, at least the system's going to be out of here. It's going to be heading up towards the northeast. So again, no lingering issues. It's going to be primarily on Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning time frame where we're going to have to really watch the system. So again, we'll pretty much end it there. Hopefully we've been answering. If you've been having any types of questions or anything, feel free to drop them in chat. We're answering those as well. But again, we'll plan on doing one here a little bit later, and hopefully we'll catch you back then. So otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you back here later. Y'all take care.